This year I'm going to be growing some things in straw bales, and I thought it'd be good to just start from the beginning on a couple of bales and show you the whole process from the start. And the first thing you need to do is condition the bales, and what that does is it starts the composting process. Basically the straw will start to decompose, and that'll build up the heat, and once you build up the heat, then you wait for it to cool down, and then at that point they're probably ready to plant. But I'm going to follow recommendations by Washington State University. They prepared a PDF on the subject, and the first 3 days what they recommend is to water the straw bales and just keep them moist. So that's what I'm going to do now. And I'm going to be doing this for the first 3 days. I'm just going to give them a good soaking. Whole bale. They recommend using ammonium sulfate or urea. What I'm using is a granular fertilizer, and I'm using 1 cup. Then after you spread it out evenly on the bale, you just water it in good. One tip that I would like to offer is, I've used urea before, and it's very water soluble. So if you decide to go with urea or anything that's water soluble, then you might not want to use quite as much water when you water it in, because you don't want to really water it all the way through the bale, or you'll just be wasting your money. But the key is to use something that's high in nitrogen. I'm using fertilizer that's 30-00, and I think the ammonium nitrate is something like 26-00, and urea I think is 40 or higher, 00. They recommend checking later on in the process to see if the bales are heating up. Well, I found out by using my compost thermometer that they're already heating up, and this is after I just watered it with cool water. It's still between 120 and 130 degrees, and there's a big difference in between how quickly they heat up, or it has been for me, depending on the weather. My first 2 bales I started conditioning when it was very cool, and it took them quite a while. These 2 that I'm doing now started heating up right away as soon as I started watering them, even before I got to this stage in the process with the fertilizer. So it might be a good idea if you just check early on, because you don't want to miss knowing about when it's heating, because you don't want to plant until it's heated up and then cool down. Anyway, I just want to let you know that could be a possibility, so you might check it earlier than they suggest. I stopped fertilizing on day 10, but I kept watering, and here we are on day 15, and we have some mushrooms showing up. There were a few yesterday, but even more today, but we're still too hot to plant. It's what, 115 or so, and this one over here is about 110, so I think we're getting a lot closer, but it's still going to be a day or two at least. Well, I think planting day has finally arrived. We've had lots of mushroom growth the last several days. And by the way, I wouldn't eat any mushroom unless you really know what you're doing. These here are probably poisonous, so why take the chance? Anyway, it's finally cooled down to almost 90 degrees. I was going to wait for it to get below 100, and we finally gotten there, so I'm going to plant a few things. I'm going to plant some things in the side similar to what I've done down here on these two bales. So what I did is I just tipped it over onto this plastic crate, and then I just took my hand trowel and just kind of pried it apart. And after I pried it apart and made a little room, then I just kind of stuck my fist down in there and made a nice little pocket. Then I softened it up a little bit more with my hand trowel. Now I'm going to put some soil in there, and we're going to plant a couple of small tomatoes. Okay, what I did is I just put a little bit of soil in the hole, made it big enough for the root ball of the plant, and then I packed soil around the plant to fill up the hole, and then I just kind of pushed it into the straw. Some of that's going to probably come out as soon as I water it, but a lot of it will stay in there. I think it'll be okay. This variety is called Red Robin. It's a hybrid determinate type, and it only gets about 18 inches tall, so I think it'll be fine sticking out the side. Most tomatoes you could not plant in the side like this, but I think they'll be all right. Now we'll go to the next one. Next, I added about an inch or two of soil on top, and then I just pressed on it and tried to push it down into the straw. And now I'm going to add some more. Like I did on the side, I just made some pockets with my fist for each plant. Put the root ball in the hole, and now I just fill around it with soil. And there's a look at what the top looks like planted. Now I'll water these a little bit. And one tip I would offer is, if you're planting real small seedlings like I've started here, keep a close eye on them. If you see any damage to the leaves, it could be roly-polies or pill bugs. And one way I found to protect the small plants from those is just put a jar over them at night and remove it during the day, because they do most of their damage at night. Here we are in the second week of August, and these straw bales are still producing. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Otherwise, like, comment, and share. We'll see you next time.